Hey y'all, thank you so much for being here with me in this getting ready with me. So today I'm gonna be going to a beer festival and I may be going to a comedy show after. So I have some amazing news. I ended up finally getting my green card and honestly I am so incredibly excited and so incredibly grateful for this. My immigration story, I would like to say that it's a very wild one. So I would like to share a little bit with you guys. And if you are here with any kind of judgment against immigrants, honestly, whatever you say is just not gonna really affect me in any kind of way. And I hope that you take a chance to listen to this story with empathy and just an, open heart and understand why is it that people migrate to other places. It's a crazy one. So my mom married my dad and my dad was a US citizen. And when she married him, my mom is a Mexican citizen. So when she married my dad, they were living in the US and they had my sister. So my sister was born as a US citizen. And 2 years passed and my mom's marriage to my dad was very rocky. After those 2 years of marriage, my mom got pregnant with me. And when she was 6 months pregnant with me, my dad started being abusive towards her. And so she decided to go back to Mexico so that she would have the support of her family. And while she was in Mexico, pregnant with me, she received a letter from the government, USCIS, letting her know, hey, we have move forward with your green card application and the last thing you need to do is come to this interview. So my mom was like, I'm never going back to the US, so I'm just not gonna pursue this green card situation anymore. And so she didn't do that. And then I was born as a Mexican citizen. And I still kept in contact with my dad for, I would say, the first 9 years of my life. But then after that, he had fallen into very heavy use of drugs and alcohol. So I just completely lost contact with him. So in Mexico, it's just incredibly hard to stay afloat over there. So with that said, my mom was having a really hard time staying afloat as a single mom with 2 kids. So she had to make the decision to travel back to the US to get some work, and so that she can provide me and my sister a better life. So my mom left us with my grandma, who later on, she was diagnosed with psychopathy. So you guys can only imagine what it was like to live with an actual psychopath at 10 years old, always walking on eggshells. First, she came to the US, and 1 year later, she brought my sister, who is a US citizen. So everything was fine, and then she brought me. Unfortunately, it was an illegal entry, and I was 10 years old. So I had no decision in this at all. So I came to the US, and I was living a very isolated life without my family in Mexico. But I was like, this is fine. This is new life. Additionally, I had to learn English. So that was also incredibly isolating. But the US just became my home. So everything was fine, and I don't think I had realized what my legal status was until junior year in high school when we started applying for colleges. And I was in AVID, which is, they help you apply to colleges because your grades are pretty good. And I started to realize I can't apply to a lot of these scholarships. What am I gonna do? And so from then on, that I was about 13 at that point, that's when my battle with anxiety and depression started, because I was here as an technically illegal immigrant. So I was like, well, I have no idea what I'm gonna do after high school. I have no idea who's going to hire me. You know, I am destined to just work under the table in jobs that I don't want to work, because I always wanted to do something better. I always wanted to have the freedom to chase my dreams. I graduated high school, still struggling through the reality of things. And Obama was elected into office. God bless Obama. If you don't like Obama, I don't know what to say, because I love Obama. Anyway, so he passed what was called the DREAM Act, or DACA, and it allowed people within a very tight time window to receive a work permit. That window was something like, if you were younger than a certain age, and if you came into the US between this certain time, then you can apply for this work permit. And honestly, that completely changed my life. And all of a sudden, I just felt like all of these doors were opened for me. And, you know, when I wasn't in DACA, I saw many things happen that really affected me for the rest of my life. Some of these were, for example, my mom wasn't able to get a driver's license. So there were a couple of times where she got stopped by the police for honestly no reason. And for her license, she didn't have one. So they took her car away. And just seeing that and seeing how that could be me, because keep in mind, I was technically an illegal immigrant until I was like 18 years old. That really incredibly took a toll on me. So fast forward, DACA got approved. I am able to get a work permit, and all of these doors opened for me. And I just made a promise to myself that nothing was going to stand in the way. I tried my best to make my dreams come true. And honestly, nothing was given to me. Nothing was given to me. And I always thought of myself as a guest in the US. And I've never committed a crime. No crime is worth it, in my opinion, because there was always the fear of just being deported back to a country that I never even knew. Fast forward, I moved to Washington, which was one of my dreams that came true. I climbed the corporate ladder into an HR manager position. That was another dream that came true. I started a photography business. That was a dream that came true. I bought my house at 24 years old. That was a dream that came true. I got married to a wonderful, wonderful guy. That was a dream that came true. And at 25, I started to notice, well, all of my dreams have come true. Why am I so sad all the time? And that's when I started therapy. And it honestly, therapy made me understand and realize that I can have all of my dreams come true, but if my stability is not there, then it is incredibly hard for me to feel like all of these things are going to last. And that's the thing. I never felt like these things were going to last. I always felt like they were going to be taken away. Because as a DACA recipient, there were always threats of DACA ending and all of the sudden not being able to work and whatnot. And so whether I wanted it or not, my mental health was being incredibly affected by this. So, and a lot of people ask, well, you're married, can't you just get a citizenship? The hilarious thing about that is that we got married, but as a DACA recipient and as a 10-year-old who entered the US illegally, I had an illegal entry. So I could not move forward at all. And there is no path to citizenship at all unless I exited the country and then asked for permission to come back. So as you can tell, that was incredibly nerve-wracking. So we submitted the application, and the application I think took about 1 year to be approved. And I can tell you throughout that time, as I kept going through therapy, I just started becoming so sad and angry because now that my essentials of stability are being met slowly, I started to realize what other things I needed as a human in order to be happy. And those things are family connection, connection to my roots, and the freedom of going back to my culture and exploring that. Because whether we like it or not, if you are an immigrant that came to the US, your identification can be blurred by all of these other cultures around you, and you miss home. It was just incredibly challenging to say, well, I've really done all of these things right. It wasn't my fault that my dad, who is a US citizen, was not a good man to my mom. It wasn't my fault that my mom didn't think ahead and went to that interview. So this was incredibly important for me because it was just the next step on my healing. And after 1 year of waiting, I swear to you, I was losing my mind. That's when I went to the doctor and I asked to get started on antidepressants because I just couldn't do it by myself anymore. So I took antidepressants and things got better. I still worked with my therapist, thank God. I still found myself incredibly sad and angry. The whole process, like a whole immigration process, is so incredibly draining. There is so much paperwork. It is so expensive. And I'm so sorry, USCIS, but honestly, I wish you guys could give more updates, please. I wasn't even allowed to ask for an update on my case because my case hadn't taken longer than usual. So I'm like, can I please have an update? After a year, my application to travel got approved. And I was able to visit Mexico after 17 years for 4 days because that's all they approved. So I went to Mexico and I spent time with my family. I spent time with my aunt, who at the time was going through chemotherapy. And I connected back to my culture. The culture that honestly, for a very long time, I had been taught to be ashamed of, or I had been taught to hide in order to survive in the US. Those 4 days passed incredibly fast, and I was incredibly nervous to come back to the US, although my permit had been approved. So here I am on the plane back. I get to the airport in Washington, and the security guard was incredibly nice. He was like, "What did your family say? Did they recognize you?" And I was like, "They said I lost weight," which was true because when I got here and I was 10 years old, I was a little chubby baby. But he was like, "Welcome home." And I had never been welcomed to the US. So thank you. So I returned home with a refreshed spirit because I needed that visit so bad. And I returned home, and 2 weeks after that, my aunt passes away. And once again, the anger and the sadness returns because although I just got to visit my family in Mexico, it is shown to me again how the people that I haven't seen in many years are fading away. And that is such a negative way to view things. And I talked to my therapist about that, and the power of your thoughts is incredible. But it's incredibly hard to not feel like things were unfair. So my aunt passed away, and we had immediately submitted now my green card application. And that took 8 months to be approved. But I swear to you, I kept checking the website every single day, which was not helpful at all. But I just wanted this dream to come true. And it finally did. And I just received my green card yesterday. And throughout this whole journey, I just wanted time to go by fast so that it can get approved as fast as possible. And it finally did. And I'm so excited, and I'm so incredibly happy to now be able to travel to the US. To be able to travel to outside of the US, because I love the US. Dude, I used to have a huge flag in my living room, and I just went through a lot of waiting and disenchantment and what honestly felt like a toxic relationship with the US, because I felt a lot of rejection. But I'm so incredibly happy and blessed because I know that there are so many people just like me still in the process of DACA, or that maybe were even less lucky than I was, and they did not fit into the timeline of when DACA was approved. And I just feel so incredibly sad because I know that there's a lot of good people that would do incredible things if they were allowed to. And just knowing my journey and seeing how I was affected by it emotionally, it makes me so sad that people who are looking for a better life are still not able to get their essential needs of safety and security met. Because when those needs are met, that's when we can focus on making the world a better place. So, with that said, I said and I promised that when my green card got approved and I didn't have to carry the burden any longer, that I would promise, and I promise, to invest my time into something good. And I want you to know that I am always trying to consistently work on myself and be a good person and not let myself be driven by greed or hunger for money, but instead I want to, and I will continue to be driven by making good changes. So I promised myself that once my green card was approved, I would be sponsoring the fees for someone in DACA. So if you are a part of DACA, comment below or message me and we can discuss. At this moment, I am only sponsoring one person. And I can also, if you need help with looking for a lawyer, I know how nerve-wracking that is. But a project that I want to start is I want to start interviewing immigrants and putting their stories online so that people can listen to these incredible stories that are being driven by passion and hope for a better future. Because honestly, if you haven't met an immigrant and if you've never heard their story, I can see how it feels out of place to feel bad for people that entered here illegally, or how it might be easy to feel like they're taking things away from you. If anything, immigrants add so much to this country, and they've probably played a big role in your life and you just don't know, because of course it's hard to open up your mind if the people don't feel even safe to share this kind of information. So with that said, I will be starting a project where I hold interviews with other immigrants and where they talk about their experiences, what they left behind, what they miss from their country, why they traveled here, what they have contributed to the US, and what they would like other people to know about them and their journey. And I hope that you guys are able to listen with an open mind, and I hope that this project grows empathy around this subject. Because like I said, once these essential needs are met, we can then focus on in ourselves and being better people and helping others around us. And I just think it's a great reminder that we're all here. We're all part of the same system. So thank you so much for listening. I know that this was a long one. Thank you for keeping your mind open. If you still have negative feelings about it, there's not much that I can do except just ask you to keep an open mind. But I feel like change really only comes when you listen, when you truly listen to other people and try to understand their experience and where they're coming from. So I wish all of you guys a fantastic day, and I will keep you guys updated about the video project and these interviews, because this project is really, truly, incredibly close to my heart. And this project isn't about me. This project is about other people. And thank you all. I hope you have a great day. And this is my look for today. Thank you for listening. Have a good day.